others.
No, and talking about riders who are happy in wet conditions, I'm down here on the grid now, the fourth row of the grid, with Belgian rider Xavier Simeon, who we know has been fast every time we've had wet conditions, not just here at Valencia, but all season. You must be looking towards the front of the race now, Xavier, with these conditions here.
Yeah, I will be very calm because in Malaysia I had the same opportunity and I didn't take my chance. So this race I will be very calm at the beginning and we will see what happens. But it's sure we prove on Friday that we are fast on that condition. It's a new asphalt in Valencia, it's a good grip, so we have to keep calm and be concentrated and focus on finish the race.
Well, best of luck this afternoon, Xavier.
Thank you.
Yeah, Xavier Simeon starts on the fourth row again, but he led the way on Friday, didn't he, in those difficult conditions. Nico Terol, he's qualified on the second row of the grid, his best ever Moto2 qualifying. He's had a corner named after him. He was second here in 2011, and that was enough for him to win and be the final winner of that 125cc World Championship. Of course, the man that would have loved these conditions is Ant West, but for the reasons we've, I think, spoken about a lot during the weekend, Ant West will not be taking part in this race.
But while we're talking about Ant West, I just collared the QMMF team as I was coming onto the grid, and they've confirmed that West will return with the team for the 2003 season in Moto2.
Yeah, banned for 30 days, failing an anti-doping test after the French Grand Prix at Le Mans. Total mistake by Ant West, drinking an energy drink. Mistake, I don't think anybody's pointed the finger at him, but rules are rules. You open a can of worms, and he's accepted, despite finishing on the podium in the last two races, that he's not going to ride. Obviously, very, very disappointed indeed. Dominique Aegerter, he's had an excellent season. Remember, he was third here last year, and they cut his hair in Parc Ferme. Not very cleanly as well. Ninth in the World Championship, fifth at Phillip Island, and a second row start for the Swiss rider. And watch him in these conditions, and also watch him from the second row of the grid. Of course, he would have been down on that third row, but for the demise of Marc Marquez to the back of the grid. Here he is. He did apologise immediately to Simeon Corsi. I think he knew he'd had a yellow card. I think he knew the red card was coming. But of course, he is the 2012 Moto2 World Champion. 8 Grand Prix wins this season. And everybody looking forward to Tuesday and that MotoGP debut. He'd be disappointed with his brother, younger brother Alex, who was leading the Moto3 race before crashing out. So the conditions will not be easy. Again, without giving anything away, we saw in the Moto3 race that is well worth watching, I can promise you. So final round of the championship, the first and second place is already decided. The battle is for third place. Andrea Iannone in third place, 11 points in front of Tom Luthi. Iannone is qualified down on that third row of the grid, Luthi on that front row. Scott Redding, what a great season. 4 podium finishes, 5th in the World Championship. He starts on the third row of the grid. Scott Redding qualified at 7th fastest. But as I say, Paul Espargaro in a rich vein of form at the moment. Anybody who witnessed him in action at Phillip Island in that Moto2 race, I mean, obviously all the headlines were about Casey Stoner in MotoGP. I think his performance in Moto2 was as good or even better. He totally dominated the race. Simeon Corsi, none the worse for wear after that incident with Marc Marquez.
Well, I'm just down now on the grid with Emilio Altamora. At the back of the grid is somewhere we're not used to seeing either Emilio Altamora or Marc Marquez. But a penalty for this race, Emilio. We've seen what Marc Marquez can do coming off the back of the grid. We saw that in Montego, but very different conditions today in Valencia. What's been your advice to Marc ahead of this race?
Sure, Marc have a penalty. For me, it's better not explain my opinion of this penalty. Better the people's. They need to understand what is the idea of the peoples. But Marc, just need to play on the bike, on the track, understand the tarmac, which grip have, because if not start again the rain, sure it's difficult for arrive at the end for the tires, the wet tires. No, in the end, sure it's a lot of risk to start from the back. But anyway, this is the situation. the most important is the test Tuesday with MotoGP now.
So no real risks today then. Looking forward to the test.
This is I explained to Marc, but Marc is Marc, and sure if he has a good feeling on the bike, sure he do his best.
Well, we look forward to the same onboard footage we had in Japan, because that was impressive.
Yeah, but Japan is Japan. Here, it's important the first, second corner to be calm.
Okay, well, best of luck, Emilio.
Thank you.
In other words, Ian, he's going to be going absolutely flat out from the word go, isn't he?
We've told Marc we're not sure he was listening.
Julian Simeon has qualified 11th fastest. Disappointing time, 15th in the World Championship. Of course, the 125cc winner here, 2009. He'd already won the world title before moving up to Moto2. No, I forget, but of course he was runner-up, wasn't he, in that initial Moto2 World Championship behind Tony Ellis. Xavier Simeon, we've already spoken to him, and as Ian said, he is excellent in the wet. He led the way on Friday. So thanking Didier de Radiguez, I think, probably the former 350cc Grand Prix rider, for helping him get where he is. That's the 4th row of the grid. We come on to the 5th row. We're back, of course, on the front row of the grid. We have a quick look at Pol Espargaro. As I say, 5th row is Tito Rabat, Tony Elias and Mika Kallio, and that ain't a bad 5th row of the grid at all. In these conditions, I think anything can happen.
Well, just to go back to the conditions, yesterday we saw quite a different qualifying set of qualifying results. A lot of the riders struggling to get the heat into the hard and extra hard tyre options here. Mika Kallio is one of them, a couple of other riders as well. I think they'll be glad they don't have to run that tyre and that they've got wet conditions and can run on wet. But as Emilio Altamora said, if the track starts to dry, then tyre degradation is going to be a major issue for the Moto2 riders.
So welcome back to Valencia. I'm Nick Harris, sitting alongside me Gavin Emmett, down in pit lane Ian Wheeler, the final round of the Moto2 World Championship. Pol Espargaro in pole position once again, his 8th pole of the season, and alongside him Tom Luthi and the Japanese rider Takaki Nakagami. Marc Marquez was 2nd fastest. He starts from the back of the grid. 2nd row, Nico Tirol, who's done an excellent job. His teammate Jordi Torres and Dominique Aegerter. So I look further back because there's some interesting people further back. Johan Zarco from the 4th row of the grid. Look at that 5th row. Mika Kallio, 2-time winner here in Valencia. Tito Rabat, podium finisher. Tony Elias, the former world champion. 7th row. Bradley Smith, disastrous time so far, but fastest in the morning warming up. Gino Ria, as we saw, very, very good in the wet. Finished 3rd in Malaysia.
Just
there you go.
Indonesian rider down there in 10th place on the grid is Sasipto, so great for him to be joining up with the World Championship.
Done well to qualify, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Very well indeed. And Marc Marquez at the back of the grid. As Emilio Altamora said, we've told Marc to keep calm. We don't really know if he's been listening to us. I suspect that he hasn't.
Well, to be fair to him yesterday, he was actually straight up saying, look, championship is won. We've got a big test on Tuesday. Nothing silly. We'll wait and see.
So 27 laps of the Ricardo Tormo circuit here in Valencia. Round 17, the final round of what's been an excellent Moto2 World Championship. Riders out on their final sighting lap. Well, let's hope everybody gets round after the drama we saw in Moto3. Not everybody completing the sighting laps, and some very important people not completing. There is Marc Marquez. He can already ride his way through the field, he's decided, on the sighting lap just to get a feel.
Does that count? Does that count?
He's just working out his route.
Yeah, you're right.
A weave across.
Yeah.
I mean, just remember those opening couple of laps in Motegi. They were unbelievable to watch. Quite aggressive, as you'd expect from Marquez, but that's why he's a champion. And when it comes down to the race, that sort of thing is a lot more acceptable. He was done for it, going through, through there, basically, for it being a little bit harder than necessary.
Yeah, and it was the second practice session here on a difficult track. Yeah, on a race, you're dead right, it would have been acceptable. Well, the track's still wet, and as Ian was saying at the start, that is so important for the riders. They don't want this track to start drying out. Luckily, it doesn't dry out very easily, and I think that will please them. What do we got? MotoGP in just under 2 hours' time. With these bikes going round, who knows? Let's concentrate on Moto2. 8 wins this season for Marc Marquez. A very, very worthy world champion. Always a little bit of controversy around him. It's the way he rides a motorcycle. He is in the Marc Marquez zone. I don't think anybody else gets in that zone. I think he takes a lot of notice of anybody else when he's out there on the racetrack. Phenomenal rider. How he will be in MotoGP, how he will cope, how the other riders will cope, is going to be an intriguing situation next season.
I mean, he's in the bear pit next year, isn't he? He's dropped in the deep end, and it's just whether the Cub can scrap it out with the big boys.
It was interesting to see Valentino Rossi and Jorge Lorenzo were sort of saying, "Oh, you need to calm down a little bit, Marc Marquez." Cal Crutchlow's response was, "No, that's the way it's to do it. That's what you've got to do."
Nico Troll is excellent qualifying, 4th fastest. It's corner named after him at the circuit. This is his home circuit. He won the 125cc World Championship here last year. Best ever qualifying in Moto2. And, you know, he could be really fancying his first podium finish. Paul Espargaro's first podium finish came last season in Moto2. It does take time to adjust. Espargaro in the wet, I'm not quite so sure.
Yeah, I agree.
So here we go. Final round of the Moto2 World Championship here at the Ricardo Tormo circuit in Spain. 27 laps in the damp conditions. Thank you, Moto2, for a really great season.
All seem to get away clean enough this time. Very good start from Taka Nakagami on the inside as they power down towards turn 1 here in Valencia. Big punch coming together for a fast first corner. You saw it looked like Nico Tirol coming right through. Marc Marquez has already made up 10-11 positions or so, and he's trying to weave through, heading up towards turn 2. Bradley Smith, one of those, firing it right through the pack. He pushes Johan Zarco wide. That was hard from Smith as well, but it's Tirol leading into Tirol corner on the first lap, named after him this morning. Espargaro 2nd, Lutti 3rd, Corsi in 4th, and it's Simeon in 5th place.
What an amazing start from Marc Marquez. Look at the people he's already overtaken.
Yeah, he's up into 13th place. He's right in there behind Andrea Iannone. When you can get a start like that, when you've got the power going down the straight and you just weave your way past anyone, he almost makes it look easy. And it's not. He's past Bradley Smith now.
Tremendous stuff from Nico Tirol. As we said, as we ride with him, this is his best ever Moto2 qualifying. It's taken him time to adjust to Moto2. There's been glimpses that the current 125cc world champion is getting to grips with the 4-stroke.
That's great for him, isn't it, to be at the front in his real home race. He's from Alcoy, just about an hour down the road towards Alicante, and he will be thriving on this one at the front with Espargaro 2nd, Lutti in 3rd, there's Corsi, and there is Marc Marquez. Look who's coming through with him, Gino Ria, of course, finishing on the podium in the Malaysian Grand Prix. I wouldn't say in similar conditions, but it was, of course, extremely wet there.
But it's Nico Tirol, 2nd in the race here last year, behind Maverick Vinales in the 125cc race, which was enough to give him the final 125cc World Championship crown. And this is where Marquez will again make up some marks, make up some positions, see where he is when they come across the line.
He was 11th across the line. And I'm sure he hasn't been able to pick anyone up, actually. He's in behind Mika Kallio now, so it will get harder. He's 3.7 seconds down. It isn't the easiest track to overtake on, but Simone Corsi makes it look easy enough as he goes through on Thomas Lutti.
Tirol really opened up a bit of an advantage at the front. I think Paul Espargaro will be very happy to be in 2nd place because Malaysia in the wet, he found it difficult. Yeah, the conditions were more difficult. Now, it was a lot wetter, wasn't it?
Look who's up into 4th place now. Julian Simon, who was leading in Malaysia before dropping back. And so Simon's someone not to be discounted in these kinds of conditions.
Like I say, looking at Paul Espargaro, he's got Nico Tirol out in front of him as a marker for the conditions, but he's not able to match Tirol's time. Like Nick says, I think he'd be happy to stay in 2nd, but I can't see it lasting very long, to be honest.
Gino Ria is full of confidence, isn't he? He's following Marquez through now on Kallio. They've got Iannone as their next man in front, and they're picking their way through the order.
You'd say that's pretty sensible strategy, wouldn't you, by Gino Ria?
Well,
follow Marc Marquez, and he is so good in the wet, Gino Ria.
The one thing for Marquez is that he hasn't always been a wet weather rider, hasn't been great in these kinds of conditions in the past.
We ride with Andre Iannone in 9th place. There is Marc Marquez, just about to see him through the spray.
Of course, it was Alex De Angelis who came out on top in Malaysia, but he's not riding here this weekend. He took all the skin off his finger in a crash in Australia. He's been replaced by Mattia Pizzini here this weekend. Pizzini, another one actually who can go well in the wet. I remember him winning an absolutely brilliant race in Italy once, wasn't it, in Mugello? Do you remember that battle with Simoncelli in the 250 class?
Yeah, an amazing last lap in that race, I remember. Julian Simon and Simone Corsi still battling it out for 3rd place.
Well, Mattia Pizzini might be good in the wet, but he's not going to be so good here. He's already been off track and has dropped right back.
Oh, dear. Just having a look down the order. Bradley Smith 16th, Scott Redding in 17th place. Again, another rider who's not out there who'd have loved this would be Ant West.
Yeah, we were saying that at the beginning of the program. He would have been rubbing his hands, wouldn't he? Mickey Kallio gets past Andre Iannone, so that's up into 11th place. This race has got a long time to settle. Perhaps Nico Tirol can get a... Certainly in the 125cc class, he was very capable of winning races like this.
He's won in the wet, and he's had problems in the wet before.
Yeah, but he's capable of, once he's out the front, to really pushing on the pace.
I'm not sure about that in terms of his heart rate.
I'm thinking about have to stop and have a bit of a calm down.
Very, very high indeed, I'd have thought.
Wow.
Maybe a slight glitch with software reading that, but... He was up around 180 yesterday.
Calm down, Nico. I don't want to see that going up there again.
Well, that's like sprinting. That'd be full out sprinting, and I can't imagine that it'd be like that. He'd be done in 10 seconds.
Julian Simon thinking of getting past 2nd place, Pol Espargaro. Here's Marc Marquez. Yeah, he's got to be amongst the more difficult riders to overtake now. It's not going to be so easy from here. Tirol really has built up a bit of an advantage. Over 2 seconds now between him and Julian Simon.
Yeah, Simon now, who's got past Pol Espargaro finally, is quicker than him though, coming across the line. So keep an eye on Simon as next on Marquez's hit list is Jordi Torres. And see how they're bunched up behind Tom Luthi from 5th backwards.
There's Gino Rea right on the rear wheel of Marc Marquez. I'm sure Marquez, we joked at the start how much caution he would show, but he's not going to do anything silly with the big test on Tuesday. But how he'd love to win a race in front of his home crowd as he comes home crowned as world champion. But from the back of the grid, round here in these conditions, it's not going to be easy. And certainly the pace Nico Tirol is setting at the front, that's the gap. And it looks like Pol Espargaro is going to come with a little bit of pressure from Simone Corsi, just beginning to drop back a little bit. Fastest lap of the race does go to Julian Simon. So former winner here, 2009 in the 125cc class. He was already world champion when he won that race. He clinched it the round before in Australia. There is no doubt he's a very talented rider, Julian Simon. Just had a lot of bad luck with injuries.
Corsi also through on Pol Espargaro now up into 3rd place. Marc Marquez still in behind Jordi Torres. And still Gino Rea 6 behind him. I think Rea's going to have a go though, is he? Yeah, up on the inside of Marc Marquez. That's brave, isn't it? Through on a world champion. He obviously feels he can move this on a bit further.
Well, that's excellent stuff from Gino Rea, because I think he felt if he stuck on the rear wheel of Marc Marquez, he'd put him through, but it wasn't happening.
Yeah, they were losing time.
I'll do it myself, and he's going to try and get up to the side of Jordi Torres on the brakes to turn 1. I don't think he's got the space to do it then. No,
he was thinking about it. You're right. We didn't quite have the pace, did he, to match Torres? Maybe down into 2. Torres is riding well, but he needs to do something if he wants to close in on the front group, because Torres is just losing out on them a little bit.
Well, Julian Simon just pulling back that advantage. Yeah. Well, just he is definitely pulling back the advantage, and it was a 2-second advantage at one time.
6/10 on that last lap, down to 1.4 seconds now.
be pretty proper. Well, they want Nico Tirol to win, but Julian Simon on the podium would be pretty proper. Good ride by Simone Corsi, despite that nasty crash on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, announced last night as a rider for Forward Racing, who will line up 4 riders in Moto2 next year. So alongside De Angelis, who they've had this year, no place for Yuki Takahashi. He's replaced in that team by Pizzini. Also, Ricky Cardouse will be in there, and of course, Simone Corsi, as we said.
Well, there is Corsi. He's pole setter and arrogant. Tom Luthi made a great start, but he's dropping down a little bit. It's going to play. There's 11 points between him and Andre Iannone for that battle for 3rd place in the championship. Iannone at the moment is out of the points, isn't he?
Yeah, and so if Tom Luthi did finish in 5th position, they would be level on points. I think Iannone would take top spot by virtue of having 2 wins.
Yeah, against Luthi's own wide.
Luthi would need 4th or higher.
Well, Julian Simon really has got Nico Tirol in his sight. 2 125cc world champions, both from Spain. Marc Marquez being told is in 10th place.
Fastest rider on track at the moment is Gino Ria, and through he's gone on Torres with Marc Marquez. Ria down very low 149s.
It's almost like the roles are reversed. Sorry, Ian, that he's going to follow. He's going to follow Gino Ria now.
Actually, fastest rider on track is Julian Simon.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, he looks very, very comfortable at that pace as well.
See a bit of a dry line forming though, as these Moto2 bikes go around. No rain falling at the moment then, I'm assuming, Ian?
You'd assume wrong, to be honest, but it is just spitting. It's not going to have a massive effect.
But there definitely was a little bit of a dry patch there, but no doubt about that. Probably not so bad for Moto2, but MotoGP people will be looking at that with great interest and keeping a big eye on the weather.
Yeah, could be some gambles to come in MotoGP. We know it's very slow in drying this new surface. Well, there is Jorge Martinez Aspar watching on and hoping that Tirol can keep it going. He has responded to Simon, actually, on this lap. He's actually reopened the gap once where it was down under a second. It's back out to 1.2.
There is Marquez, 9th place, Gino Ria, 8th. Jordi Torres, as Gav was saying, they've got past in 10th spot. That's Corsi, Pol Espargaro, Xavier Simeon.
And Ria through on Aegerter now. The problem is it's such a hard track to overtake on. Then you've got these tricky conditions to throw into the mix. Aegerter's going to be opened up here for Marquez to get through, perhaps. As Aegerter does have to succumb. Did someone run off there? I saw a puff of smoke going through the final corner as they come down through. Of course, they all look still to be there. No,
yeah, there is Corsi, Pol Espargaro, Xavier Simeon, Tom Luthi, Gino Ria. Dominique Aegerter is not making life easy for Marc Marquez, and why should he?
Gino Ria riding for a ride, really, looking for a ride in Moto2 for next year. Marquez thought about going through on Aegerter, but Aegerter's bike was in such a position that he couldn't put it in. Could see the spots of rain on the crane cam as they go through Doohan corner. Now down into Nico Tirol corner. It would be fitting, wouldn't it, after naming the corner after him, if he could go on and win this race.
I'll tell you what, Marc Marquez is biting his tongue at the moment. Thinking of the circumstances, he'd have gone through on Dominique Aegerter in some way, but...
you have to say about how Tirol has responded. Just set the new fastest lap down into the low 148, and only Simon really is anywhere close to that. Xavier Simeon is the fastest of the chasing group.
That old heartbeat's a bit better now.
That's a bit more like it.
The air ambulance hasn't arrived to whisk him off, as it might have had to do with the sort of a heart rate we were seeing. This is a fair old scrap. So the Gino, always Dominique Aegerter back at Marc Marquez.
Marquez had tried to go through on Ria, realised he wasn't going to be able to get through, had to sit up, and that just was enough of an invitation for Aegerter. But I think they want to get through on Luthi, because he's just dropping back from Simeon now.
Aegerter must be having flashbacks now to Japan. He was one of the riders that Marquez bounced off as he came through the field on the opening lap.
Here comes Ria into the final corner on the track, turn 14. Through he goes, and he's now up into 6th spot. They can see a new fastest lap from Julian Simon, who's closing in on Nico Tirol.
You've got to say Gino Ria is excellent in the wet. Here they come, 3 abreast. Dominique Aegerter on the brakes, goes through, Can he make it stick? It's Marc Marquez at the back of the group. That was some move by Dominique Aegerter as Gino Reyes runs it a bit wide.
The fact, though, that Aegerter forced it in so much meant he didn't have the exit speed there. Big moment for Ria, though, who missed out on the dry area of track. All the others seemed to hit as they went into the corner. There are some dry patches on this circuit now.
And here comes Marc Marquez up the inside of Tom Luthi. You remember that final lap in Qatar? It seems like a long time ago, that opening Grand Prix of the year. Marquez went on to win. Luthi was absolutely furious. First bend of the last lap at the front. The former 125cc World Champions, well, Nico Terol, the current 125cc World Champions, Spanish at the front to the delight of the crowd.
Looks like Xavier Simeon has got through on Pol Espargaro and Simone Corsi. So could there be a first podium for the Belgian rider in Grand Prix racing? He's got through, and will he be able to join this party there? A long way behind, 6 seconds down, but a really big group forming now.
Dominique Aegerter's loving this. He really is enjoying this battle with Marc Marquez. As we said at the start, he finished third here last year, resulting in the
Pol Espargaro has gone. A slide from him, you can see the scuff mark on the side of the bike. Gets it going though, he's back in the race. Joins in behind Scott Redding, but that's down in 18th place.
Desperate end to the season.
And a change at the front as well.
Yeah. Julian Simon's gone through on Nico Terol now, across the line. So Pol Espargaro was hoping to get a second win in succession. He was hoping to just make a point, but it's not to be. He was riding better than he has done in the past in the wet. Now, it was Corsi coming round on the outside. I don't know whether it just upset him or whatever. Well, he looked like he kept the bike going. So actually he's tried to go through on the inside of Corsi. That's it, and he goes down. Corsi's come across a couple of times in that corner this week. That's just about where Marquez took him off during practice.
What are they doing? Alicia's brother looks on, but he's okay. Which is the main thing. He's runner-up in the championship.
Corsi's got a big target on the side of his bike.
Julian Simon, of course, he finished runner-up in that first Moto2 World Championship a couple of years ago, but never won a race. He's chasing his first ever Moto2 victory. Still the fun and games go on behind. Yeah, and it looks as though Ria is back in front of Marquez now. Of course, he's run it wide. He's obviously been a little bit knocked by that. Johan Zarco is starting to show his hand here. He's come right through the field, Zarco. It's a great ride by Xavier Simeon, isn't it? He led the way, didn't he, on Friday in very difficult conditions. And also Dominique Aegerter, he has been on the podium before. Zarco never ruled him out. Great ride here last year in the 125cc race. In the end, he did crash out, but he was trying to prevent Nico Terol win that world title. He closes right up now on Marc Marquez. And of course, he is Rookie of the Year in this class this season. Yeah, he's had an excellent year. What is he, 9th in the World Championship? Oh, someone's just run it very, very wide indeed. Was it Corsi in that final corner? It looks as though it was Simone Corsi running it right into the... Luckily, there's a bit of asphalt on the outside there, and he's brought it back on, but lost 4 seconds as Ria now up into 5th place and trying to close on. It looks like being a battle for the final podium spot, but you never know. They are 8 seconds down on the leader. This is the moment that Julian Simon took the lead from Nico Terol. Final corner. Terol's trying to go wide to cut very late across it to get the drive, but Simon sees that as just an open opportunity. And now he leads. He's bags of experience, Simon. Come through the system. Of course, he was back in the Spanish Championship 2001, teammates of the likes of Pedrosa and Stoner as well. And he rode in the 125s, then he went up to 250s, then came back, didn't he, to the 125s when he won the world title. That's it. Yeah.
Just you were talking earlier about dry spots appearing on the circuit. Well, they won't have to worry about that because the rain has started once again, and it's the heaviest we've had so far this afternoon. In some ways, I think that would be a relief for the riders. Especially for tyres and things like that, because when that dry line was started forming, you talked about it this weekend, Ian, they've been out on similar kind of track conditions, and they found this track to be extremely abrasive. Yeah, and this is going to be a problem, you know. Even if they don't get a dry line, if they start to lose standing water on the track, then the abrasive new track surface is going to cause some tyre problems as we get to the end of the race. What they really need is they need a bit more heavier rain, so they take away the worry about the tyre life and they can just get on with racing.
Dominique Aegerter fancies another podium finish here in Valencia. This is a great battle for third place. Xavier Simeon, Dominique Aegerter, Gino Rea, Johan Zarco, and at the back of that group, Marc Marquez, who I think actually is taking a little bit of advice at the moment, and Aegerter moves into third place. He was third here last year. I don't think his hair's so long this year, is it? Because he had to have his hair cut.
That was his bet that he made.
Yeah.
If he got the podium. Oh, down goes Simeon at the Doohan corner. That just upset Rea a little bit. And Xavier Simeon was in third place. He'd just been taken for it by Aegerter. Can he get back in? The marshals are saying, you're all right here. You can still get going instead of having a little tantrum, a strop in the gravel.
Oh, front end. Down
he
he
saw
goes.
Rea had to sit up there, Zarco as well. And that just, look at that frustration.
He's punching the ground before he actually stops sliding, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh, and Zarco's
Zarco
gone
down
as well.
Oh, it is getting very slippery out there. Zarco's out.
Still a long, long way to go. It's a 27-lap race, and we've only had 10 and a half.
Zarco walks away. His season over. He's had a good season, but getting disappointed. This is the men at the front, Julian Simon.
It looks like the track is just changing in condition quite considerably now, and their lap times are going to have to respond to this. They're going to have to be a bit more wary. It was 1:48s all the way, 1:48.5 on that last one from Simon now. Let's have a see what it is this time as they come across the line. Simon is leading by 2.1 seconds. He's pulled out 6/10, and that could be all to do with the changing conditions here. It looks extremely dark out there now on the track in Valencia. 1:49.2 from Simon and 1:49.6 from Tyrrell. The battle for third is really hotting up as Simeon drops by the wayside, and Zarco as well. It's Aegerter third, Rea in fourth, Marquez now in fifth spot, and he's been patient. And it's paid off for Marquez, hasn't
it has. People have fallen by the wayside.
I'm just going to grab a quick word with team manager of Inti Bluesons, Julian Simon's team manager, Ricard Gervais. Ricard, Julian seems very, very comfortable, able to up the pace when needed, but we've started to see more rain coming now. Is it just a case now of him having to manage the changing conditions on track?
Yes, for sure. It's raining, and as you can see, there's some crashes, and anyway, it doesn't matter. I don't want to talk a lot because it's a long race, still 16 laps to go, but well, looks like its rhythm, it's quite comfortable, but I repeat, I don't want to talk a lot because if you talk a lot then could happen something, but no, we believe that it's a good pace, and well, we have to wait.
Okay, well, we keep our fingers crossed for you and Julian.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ricard.
I tell you, Gino Rea. Oh, it's Marc Marquez. That's as aggressive as we've seen him, and then he runs it right. Rea comes straight back at him. He is a top-class rider in the wet, isn't he, Gino Rea?
Yeah, he is there. Marquez clearly had the pace coming through the chicane, and they don't want to battle too much. They just want to make sure they're still with Aegerter, but Marquez obviously feels if he got through on Rea, he could get through again. It's not the easiest track to overtake on, full stop. We've said that a couple of times already, I know, but it is very, very difficult indeed. And Gino Rea there, very, very wide. And because Marquez was round the outside of him, it forced Marquez to sit up. We just saw Rea just adjust, didn't he, in the corner. And as he picked the bike up, Marquez was actually on the outside, probably not where he'd expect him to be. And Marquez was forced to pick the bike up. Well, that's one way of trying to take someone out of the equation.
This is Marquez, bit of work to do. Fifth place, obviously, he is the world champion. He has got that big, big test. That's the moment, look.
It's because he's right on the outside there.
I'll tell you what he did. OK, he came onto the tarmac in the end, the entrance of a pit lane, but he ran it a little bit on the AstroTurf, didn't he? He did well to hang on to that, Marc Marquez.
Just going in, there's a bit of asphalt down there, and the team just saying, don't worry about it.
Calm down, Ethel.
Well, I just wonder if he'll have a Kimi Raikkonen moment and just say, leave me alone. I know what I'm doing. Let's get on with it.
Thing about that is he can swear as much as he likes in his helmet and nobody's going to know about it, are they?
Just don't say that to Sandro Cortese, though.
Oh, dear me, yeah.
And to be honest, it's unlikely that he'll be voicing any complaints about aggressive moves by Gino Rea at the end of the race, is it?
Yeah, Gino really fancies his chances of a second podium finish. He was so unlucky in Malaysia. I mean, he did cross the line in first place. Of course, it had to go back when everybody had passed the finishing line, which made he finish third in the race in the end. Marquez closes up once again. Emilio Alzamora, his great mentor, the former 125cc world champion. He spoke to Ian at the start of the race. We saw him then say, just keep calm.
Well, that's almost allowed Ria now to have a good go at Aegerter. You can see the rain falling. Is it getting heavier? Is it's still coming down, Ian, now?
It's still coming down, but it's pretty consistent. It's not heavy, just a little bit heavier than the showers we had earlier. But it's enough to keep the track wet, and that's a good thing for these guys in this Moto2 race at the moment.
Onto the front straight they come, 14 laps to go, so we're not even at half distance yet, and I think we forget that. Still a long, long way to go. Gino Rea can be patient. Of course, while he is being patient, Marc Marquez closes the gap on them all the time.
Dominique Aegerter not taking anything away from him, because he's riding really well in third place. His pace is good. It's similar to that of Tyrrell and Simeon ahead of him, and you can't knock him at all, although Marquez just bounced back with a 140.0, his best lap of the race.
I'll tell you what is interesting is if you look at the top 7 there, top 7 riders, all on the Suter Moto2 machine, with Mika Kallio, the first rider not on a Suter in this race.
That's a really good spot. Very good spot, that.
Well, look at Tom Luthi and the situation between him, Andre Iannone. Iannone would hang on to that third place in the championship if those positions remain the same. Luthi in 6th place, Iannone in 14th. It's a right old freight train now. This is the battle at the moment for third place.
Marquez is right there once more, isn't he? And he can pounce.
He can't help himself, Marc Marquez.
Here he comes again. Look, there he is.
Yeah.
In that corner. That's where he had the incident with Simone Corsi earlier on this weekend that meant he started from the back of the grid, but now he's into 4th place.
I've got to say, he probably feels if he can get past Dominique Aegerter as Gino Rea tries to get back up the inside of him and open up a bit of a gap, a place on the podium, safe 3rd place would be exactly where he'd want to be.
Julian Simon, though, still playing a lone Firo up front. Ooh, bit of a moment for Julian Simon. He runs it wide. That's coming down into turn 8. That's going to close the gap. It's down to 1.5 across the line. He did really well to keep it on 2 wheels.
Yeah, this race is far from over. It's a long way to go.
Whoa!
Marquez hits the
and Aegerter are both touched in there. Wow, they've done amazing to hang on, though, both of them. Hand comes up from Marquez. Gino Rea's not worried about that. He says, thank you very much. I'll take advantage. I'm going to go through at turn 2. Aegerter's thinking, well, I don't deserve this.
He just can't keep away from controversy, can he, Marc Marquez?
I don't think that one.
No,
to be honest, it was almost he was just too quick for Aegerter going down the straight.
Yeah, I'm not
it wasn't brake checks.
No,
he wasn't pushing or anything like that. It was just
a racing
they sort of came together a little bit going down towards the corner.
And an immediate apology. No, but he just.
He's never far from controversy.
He's not.
And I'm sure it'll follow him. Let's have a look. Look, you can just see as he goes. Oh, well, actually, I don't know. Actually, he just does get a little bit closer, but Aegerter obviously doesn't brake as quickly as, brakes quicker than he does. And he's trying to take the line that Aegerter was on, and the hand comes up. Aegerter says, just watch out.
Just pointed the finger,
just
didn't
watch out.
Emilio Alzamora is getting...
He's furious with him.
I've never seen him get annoyed in my life, Emilio Alzamora. He's getting angry now. He's getting a bit annoyed with him.
Well, Takaki Nakagami hasn't managed to take advantage of his front row start here at Valencia. The Japanese rider just pulled into pit lane, retired from this race.
Oh dear. It's a shame because no Japanese rider on the podium would mean if Hiroshi Aoyama didn't make the podium or Nakasuga in MotoGP. First year since 1985, it's been a full season without a Japanese rider scoring a podium in any class.
Wow. There is Tyrrell. Can he do anything about Julian Simon at the front? Well, he'd be encouraged, although he didn't see it. That was quite a moment for Julian Simon.
I just wonder here. Marquez has gone through. You're thinking the same thing as me, I know.
Fastest lap.
He's just said the fastest lap. And no, actually, I'm thinking, though, whether, should he give that place back to Aegerter? I don't know.
Well,
I just wonder, it's one of those things, it's all held his hands up, so I've done something wrong. And he's just gone. But, oh, that's Rhea, by the looks of things. That's,
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Yes, it is.
It is. Yeah, with that orangey helmet with a big number 8 on the top. Gino Rhea. Oh, what a shame. What a sad end to a Moto2 season for Gino Rhea.
He's trying to hang on with Marc Marquez. Oh, and just loses the front. Oh, disappointment for him. Coming up the hill into turn 6.
Now, can Dominic, there he goes. I think that's probably settled that a little bit now. I know Dominic Aegerter pointed the finger at Marc Marquez.
Actually, it was the final corner, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, yeah. Julian Simon still leads the way, still 12 laps to go. We're nowhere like anywhere through the end of this race yet.
Yeah,
Not easy in these conditions to ride at the front.
On that Marquez Aegerter move. I mean, it was fine, as you say, a racing incident, but it's one of those where they might, you might say, oh, give the place back.
Well, it's racing, Gav, you know what I mean? It's like, it's happened.
Yeah, well, I know.
Get your head down, Mark, and away you go. But actually, I'm not sure Marc Marquez's indication on the bike there was an apology. And I'm not sure he was 100% to blame for that either. It looked like both had problems going in on the brakes.
It's just the fact, though, he did go across. So, Aegerter was on the line, he went across towards it. I'm not saying, he tried to cause an accident or it was anything other than, Aegerter braking sharper than he. But I don't think, okay, fair enough.
I mean, what is interesting with Marc Marquez, though, is like, after the situation with Simone Corti yesterday, the situation with Simone Corti, there's been a lot of talk about, he's an aggressive rider, he's been involved in controversy all season. But speaking to Emilio Altamora on the grid, there is no remorse there from his team manager, his mentor, Emilio Altamora. In his opinion, he can't understand why there was a penalty at all. And if that's what he thinks, you can guarantee that that's what Marc Marquez thinks as well. And I'm just wondering, when's that learning going to take place?
That's amazing how look how he's threaded it through some of the gaps he's gone through there. Absolutely superb. And you see he was helped by a couple of riders ahead of him, Bradley Smith pushing some wide. What a first few corners. He's already up to about 13th position there. And just threading his way through.
Mind you watching that, maybe he doesn't need to learn anything.
No, not at all. That's superb.
It is a knife through butter, isn't it? Through Randy Krummenacker. Amazing first lap from Marc Marquez. Once again, a bit of controversy. Oh, this is going to be interesting. This is on board. Let's watch this. Just enjoy it, I think. Here we go. Back of the grid. Marc Marquez, Valencia. This is the way to start a Grand Prix motorcycle race.
Shame we can't see the front view here as he goes down, but you can just watch the riders come either side.
It's like a sighting lap.
Well, his lap times as well, on track at the moment, are second quicker than Tyrrell's ahead of him, with 9.5, 10 laps to go, in fact.
Is there any chance that he could catch them and win this race?
Not sure about winning this race, but there's a chance he could catch them if he can keep pushing away.
Because I tell you now, he's taking no notice of anybody now. He's absolutely in the Marc Marquez groove. He's in his bubble. And I think he still thinks he could win this, but Julian Simon's doing a great job out front.
Well, the Marquez's team showing him the gap back to the riders behind him the last few laps. Now they're changing the board to show the gap to Nico Tyrrell. So I assume that they know straight away that Marc Marquez hasn't given up on the race win now.
He has the pace to catch Tyrrell by the looks of things.
Well, Dominique Aegerter, very unlucky, but it is a great fourth place at the moment for the Swiss rider. I love the way he pointed the finger at Marquez after that incident. Did well to hang on to the bike, actually, Aegerter, because we've seen many a big crash at turn 1 at Valencia. It's a fast old left-hander. Tom Luthi in 5th place, but Andrean only in 12th, so obviously it's not going to be enough. Just a little bit further down. Bradley Smith is in the points now in 14th place. Paul Espargaro is making his way back through in 15th place, as is Gino Rhea. Gino Rhea in 16th place, so we obviously got back on the bike okay.
Yeah.
This is a Jordi Torres, currently running in 6th place.
It's a good ride from Torres after he came in at the halfway point of the season on that bike, and he's done well, Picked up 3 or 4 point scoring finishes. Came in, of course, to replace Tony Elias in that team.
With Callier running in 7th place, but a disappointment for Scott Redding, you've got to say, out of the points at the moment, down in 18th. Obviously some problems in the wet for him.
Yeah, he didn't sound too confident about the wet weather conditions. There is Andrea Iannone. It's been a bit of a fizzle out for him in this season
damp
in
squib,
Moto2.
isn't it? Yeah, it has.
He's moving up to MotoGP next year. He'll be, of course, on the Pramac Ducati bike alongside Ben Spies. He's testing the bike on Tuesday. Spies, of course, not here through injury. Unfortunately, won't get to try it. Espargaro's now through on Bradley Smith, and there's a few riders here he can maybe pick off. Yuki Takahashi just ahead of him. So a big gap up to Tony Elias there, actually, in 8th.
Yeah, fair play to him. You know, he's secure runner-up in the championship, but he's going to plough on as hard as he can. I'm still looking at the times because I'm trying to keep an eye on Marc Marquez.
Well, he's just set a new fastest lap.
Yeah.
He was a second and a half quicker than Tyrrell on the previous lap. The gap is now under 2 seconds, and all the time that means he's closing in on Simon. He was only 4/10 quicker than Simon on that previous lap, however.
This is Tito Rabat, currently running this big battle.
This is Elena Russell. Ooh, nasty collision. Ow. Landing on her back in that collision with Eric Granado. They were battling for down the order.
And Elena Russell's temporary teammate into the pits. Problem with the bike, but the Indonesian back out now and about to rejoin the race.
That's Rafi Topan Susipto, of course, who qualified 30th. Had a really nasty crash this morning, but good news that he went out there. Just a shame. He's obviously had some kind of issue.
This is the battle for the helicopter shot. Nico Tyrrell. It's the battle for second place, and Marc Marquez now down onto the trackside camera. Marquez really has got Tyrrell in his sight, so I don't think that's the worry. I think he will get past Nico Tyrrell. Not easy to overtake here. 7.5 laps to go, but can he catch Julian Simon at the front? It's really, again, also how quick he can get past Nico Tyrrell, isn't it? That is going to be very important. Yeah, it's down to half a second now. Yeah, he is going to get past him.
Yeah, they know it. Here he comes, right on them. He's not going to be shy about this one, is he? He's
wow.
Not backwards in coming forwards, just fires his way through on the inside. He's on a different level here now. Marc Marquez, he wants to sign off with a victory, and he thinks it's possible. The gap between himself and Julian Simon, who leads, is 5.5 seconds. He was a whole second quicker than Simon on that previous lap, and there are 7.5 laps to go. It's possible.
It is possible, and you've got to say, I think only possible from one man, certainly in the Moto2 field, and you're watching him in action at the moment. Love him or hate him, you've got to admire him. That is aggressive. But it's racing, and it's a fair move. And he's in the Marquez bubble now. He's absolutely in his own zone. And it certainly wouldn't be surprised me if he did go on to win the race.
He likes it coming through there, doesn't he?
Yeah,
that's where he went through on Ria. And look at the Marquez fans starting to believe the impossible is possible. We can't say impossible because he did it in Motegi pretty much,
yeah,
but starting to believe there is a possibility that even in the wet, and even, you know, about 5 laps ago, he was battling for 4th place, and now he's...
And he wasn't even having it his own way for a long time with Gino Ria and Dominique Aegerter, but his mindset has changed. He suddenly realised, right, I wonder what they're going to tell Julian Simon. That'll be interesting to see.
It's funny you should say that because I've just stood opposite the Vinci Blueson's pit canopy, and I don't think they know what to say to Julian Simon. Some discussions going on about as to what to put on the pit board.
Yeah. Just Marquez, exclamation mark.
Yeah, don't tell him it's Marquez.
Yeah, look at that. Even on this lap, now he's got past Nico Tyrrell. He's closing the gap all the time.
And he can see him. He's like a rabbit in the distance, isn't he? Or a fox being hunted by the hound.
Oh, I've loved this race. There he was, Emilio Alzamora at the start, telling me, told Mark to do this, and then seeing Emilio Alzamora, who's the calmest man you ever want to see, really losing his rag. Now they're going to change them, aren't they? Now they're going to be there. Brilliant. They're going to push him on now.
And just to show what he's done, now he's battling with Aegerter. He's put, I think, 7 seconds between himself and Aegerter, and that was very, very recent. 4.6, they say the gap is. It's actually 4.4 now. He was 1.1 quicker than Simeon on that last lap with 6 laps remaining.
Up at the Duan corner, Julian Simon.
Listen to the crowd. They are loving it. They've got a Spanish 1, 2, 3 here. But more than anything, they've got 3 world champions. 3, 1, 2, 5 world champions in the top spot.
The last 3 years, that's
Moto2 world champion is now chasing down his go. That's all they can tell him, isn't it? Yeah, his number 60 looks like go. Well, he certainly needs to do it and get a wriggle on, because, he's about to become dinner for Marc Marquez, I think.
Right. Not easy for Julian Simon. He's being told that his lead is whittling down. I don't know if he knows it's Marc Marquez or not. I would think he's a pretty bright bloke, Julian Simon. He realised it probably is Marc Marquez, because he's the only man that could pull back this sort of advantage. But don't rule out Simon. You've seen him win races like this before, sitting in the only in the 125cc class. He's just got to ride so hard now. This is a Paul Espargaro.
Yeah, he's come through that group with Bradley Smith. See Corsi's dropped back as this race has gone on. He had a little bit of a clash earlier on in the race, didn't he, with Paul Espargaro. In fact, when Espargaro crashed. What again? I tell you what, poor old Simone Corsi. He's like a punch bag this weekend.
I think there's been an Italian-Spanish war or something.
Well, I can tell you what he's done over the years, actually. He has been a bit of a hatchet man in years gone by, hasn't he?
That's why he accepted the Marquez thing, wasn't it?
At the front, 3 seconds now the gap. Marquez just done a 146.4. Simon did a 147.7. Marquez is more than a second quicker than anyone else out on track.
So Bradley Smith won the 125cc race here, 3 years ago, bowing out, of course, of Moto2 MotoGP test for him also on Tuesday for that Tech 3 Yamaha team. A very, very tough final weekend in the Moto2 class for him. Bitterly disappointed, but he can now concentrate his efforts on Tuesday. As can Andrea Iannone, who will ride the Ducati. We now ride with Marc Marquez, 4.5 laps to go. Over his left shoulder, just got a glimpse of Julian Simon. His heartbeat seems a lot calmer, doesn't it, than Nico Tirol's?
I don't know. It's
look at that. It's gone up, though.
I'm not sure about that signal, though. I'm not sure it's all necessarily right up there. But maybe it is. Maybe he's just on it now. Proper on the adrenaline. And look, he's sliding. It's like he's riding in the dry here. He's just pushing so hard, knee right down. Not feeling his way through, is he? He's throwing his way through the corners. And he's got that little carrot being dangled in front of him of a bright yellow of Julian Simon's number 60.
Chasing his 9th Grand Prix win of the season, the 2012 Moto2 World Champion, former 125cc World Champion. Starts his MotoGP career on Tuesday. I'm sure all the MotoGP riders are watching this and thinking, hey up, this boy's going to be something very special indeed, and he is. Go again, they're telling her.
Well, again, another 146.4. Simon's, don't knock Simon, he's trying. He's just set his personal best lap of the race, a 147.3. It's just that Marquez was 9/10ths quicker. Like slight little bits of dry lines you can see just as they come through into turn 2, and another one through turn 3, all in the corner areas, of course, and
there definitely are a few dry patches now, aren't there?
It's under 2 seconds.
He's got him in his sights. He won't wait, Marc Marquez. He won't bide his time. When he does get there, he'll bludgeon his way through. And it's just how Julian Simon can react, to be honest, and if he can hold him up for a little while.
He is the real deal, Marc Marquez. We know that. Back of the grid, yeah, we know he can get a little bit hot-headed, a little bit aggressive sometimes. Some people will say, why not? Like Cal Crutchlow, I think he talked about it, said, well, that's the way he does it, and that's the way it should be done. You get aggressive riders, and some who aren't necessarily like that. Lorenzo and Rossi weren't necessarily so sure. They both said, what a fantastic rider he is, but just sometimes, just use your head a little bit more. Well, he's just using every ounce of the talent he has in this race to plough his way through the field. He started at the back, 33 out of the 33 riders on the track. That's where he was on the grid, and he's passed 31 of them. Can he pass a 32nd now and take the lead? Simon looks behind and must think,
oh, way up. There's the orange one, yeah.
I've done all the work.
3 laps to go. Let's have a look. Oh, it's only just over 1 second. Probably when they get to turn 1, it's under 1 second for Marc Marquez.
Julian Simon's hope has to be he's ruined his tyres by doing this. That's just the only thing he can hope for. And Simon has to scrap now.
Yeah, he does. And I just don't know what you can do against Marc Marquez in this situation. And as I say, I don't think he'll be patient. He'll go through as quickly as he can. And I think he'll probably go through on this lap, Marc Marquez.
Incredible.
An amazing performance by the Moto2 World Champion. I cannot wait to see him in MotoGP next year. Extraordinary performance.
Just having a look down through the order. This is the battle for the lead. Tyrrell is in third. That looks comfortable. But who is going to win this race as Marc Marquez starts to... How about a bet that he tries it going through turn 10, where he's been strong all weekend and we've seen a lot of moves from him. He comes around 8 now, through into 9, and surely it's going to be the flick right. He just carries so much pace through
here. We go. No.
Not this time.
I think that was the last lap. He might have gone through them, but yeah. He's probably got the pace off of turn 13 and 14, down that start and finish straight. One would imagine he'll wait for turn 1 now, wouldn't you? But how can you forecast what Marc Marquez is going to do? We ride with him. Brilliant on-board stuff. It might be a bit foggy there, but let's ride with him. Through 14, lining him up absolutely beautifully now. You wait till they get onto the back straight. They're onto it now. Marc Marquez is going to make his move with 2 laps to go.
Julian Simon will lead them across the line, but now surely Marc Marquez, as he comes past, eases past Simon, and he takes the lead in the Valencian Grand Prix, the final round of the 2012 championship in Moto2 that he has dominated from start to finish. He won the opening round in Qatar, and now he's just under 2 laps away from taking yet another win.
Superb stuff. Very special. Very, very special indeed. A Spanish teenager who surely is destined to win that MotoGP World Championship at some point.
It's not always been the greatest track for him. It's the only track, apart from Laguna Seca, the only track he hasn't scored a podium at in his career up to now. Well, if he's going to break his duck, he might as well do it in these kinds of conditions.
Julian Simon hanging on for dear life, but I don't think he's going to get a bite of the cherry in this one. Been a great ride by Julian Simon, but his sort of Moto2 career is the second place all the time, isn't it? And I must have thought he was going to win this one, but MotoGP, he's coming in 2 days' time. Be prepared. Well done, Simon. Trying to hang in there.
He is matching him at the moment, just trying to stick as long as possible, and maybe, just maybe. Don't forget, Simon is a battler too. He is a world champion. It's a Suter 1 to, well, it's actually a Suter 1 to 6. So there is Eskil Suter on the left with Emilio Altamora. Now, Simon, can he conjure anything up? He gets close to him in the final corner. And I wonder, a little twitch from Simon that will really upset his pace coming down the straight as Marquez looks behind. He thinks, surely I've left him behind. No, you haven't. A lap to go in the Valencian Grand Prix. It's a Spanish 1, 2, 3. Marquez from Simon, though, is the battle for victory.
Through turn 1 they go. The fast left-hander, Nico Tyrrell. Great podium finish it should be for the 125cc world champion. But all the headlines will be about Marc Marquez. An extraordinary ride by the world champion. He's got away from Julian Simeon now. Surely he's going to win this race if he doesn't make a mistake. From the very last position on the grid, here at Valencia, difficult to overtake, horrible conditions, wet, damp and cold. Doesn't make the slightest bit of difference. Marc Marquez really is a 125. He's a Moto2 world champion. He starts a new career on Tuesday. We cannot wait.
Listen to the Valencian crowd as he goes through the fans' corner, it's dubbed here, and through into turn 8 now. Santi Hernandez on the left will go up with him into MotoGP, and you just saw alongside him Emilio Alvamora, all looking just a little bit nervous, but it doesn't matter because he allays their nerves every single week. I think he might do certain things people don't like in practice here and there, but when it comes to race day, he is in a class of his own.
His 9th Grand Prix victory of the season beckons up into turn 13, over the rise into 14. The checkered flag is being prepared for the world champion.
Marc Marquez will win his 9th race of the season, but he started from the back of the grid. What a ride by the world champion. Julian Simeon takes 2nd place. The team are delighted, all stood on pit wall. What a brilliant performance. Nico Tirol is going to take 3rd place, his first podium in Moto2, and it's Tom Luthi in 4th, Dominique Aegerter in 5th, dropping back just at the end there. Well,
that is one of the performances of the season in any class of Grand Prix racing. He's going to replace an amazing world champion in Casey Stoner, but he's going to fill those boots, isn't he?
Look at the positions they've moved up. Simon 9 to take 2nd place, but Marquez 32. Kallio's done well to take 7th. He's moved up 8 spots. Coming across the line, they can see Iannone 11th. Gino Ria's done well to take 12th place, having crashed out in the middle of the race. Paul Espargaro as well to take 8th place, having crashed out.
David Rivas 13th, Takahashi 14th, Cardu's 15th, Bradley Smith out of the points in 16th place.
And I think he might well get the honour as he hugs Nico Tirol. And there they've got the touch paper ready to be lit, the fuse ready to be lit by Marc Marquez and Nico Tirol. I think they're going to do it together. And we're going to get the famous Valencian tracker. And this will be loud.
Very loud indeed, and so it should be.
Marquez's jigs come out. There we are. That's what we were enjoying on Sunday night in Australia, except it was a bit of a Flatley-esque jig to Guns N' Roses at the time. That's brilliant. We were teasing him a little bit about that on the flight back. Brilliant stuff from Marquez. What a performance.
Are you any doubt about who he's going to perform in MotoGP? Watch the replay of this race.
They love their fireworks here in Valencia, and well,
Emilio Alvamora and his dad, Marc Marquez's dad. They say we really can't take a lot more of this. I think we just want the season to end and have a bit of a break from it.
Yeah, but he has gone off like a rocket today, hasn't he himself, Marc Marquez? Just absolutely perfect. Can't quite see him through the smoke from the fireworks that have been let off. Told you there'd be fireworks for your birthday, Ian.
Yeah, they are, Ian. Happy birthday.
Thanks very much, yeah.
Ian, what do you reckon of that performance from Marquez?
There's only one word to describe it. Incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anybody who had any doubts about Marc Marquez's sheer skill, they just have to watch that race. Absolutely fantastic.
He is surely a future MotoGP world champion. He's a 125 and Moto2 world champion. And he takes to the big stage on Tuesday.
Bit of Hulk Hogan as well from Marc Marquez. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Gloves are off. They were off at the beginning of the race. Look at him. What a showman. Brilliant. Yeah, look at that. That's great. Really enjoying himself up there. That's it. That's his time done in the lower classes. He's with the big boys now.
What a way to sign off.
What an apprenticeship.
Yeah. Welcome to MotoGP, Marc Marquez.
I think he might.
The rest of you, Be warm.
He might fit in.
Yeah. And I tell you what, he may be aggressive. He is such a. He's one of the nicest lads you meet off the track. That you, he's a cracking lad. Of course, he's got confidence. You don't ride a motorcycle like that. You don't perform at that level in any championship or any sport without having enormous confidence. But that was. Yeah, you have to be careful when you say the ride of the season, don't you, in any of the classes? But I can't think of an awful lot better than that, to be honest with you. Well done, Paul Espargaro.
It's right up there.
It was a great ride by Paul Espargaro, into 8th place in the race, runner-up in the World Championship. But here is the world champion. He's signed off his career in Moto2 with, well, almost the ride of a lifetime, I would say.
Well, he's done it before, though. That's the thing. He's done it in Motegi early on this year. He's done it in the past in the 125s when he clinched the World Championship Portugal in Estoril when he crashed on that was actually a second part of the race, wasn't he? When he did it then, he started from the back of the grid, having just repaired his bike, came back and did it there. But he's, you know, just a very, very special talent.
We enjoyed that very, very much indeed.
Paul Espargaro probably wouldn't have enjoyed it so much. He was running well in the early stages.
Disappointed.
And he's picked up points in the end, having dropped the bike. His dad, Janice, is there just helping him along.
But this is all about one man. Well, one boy, really, still a teenager. It's about Marc Marquez. And here's the overtaking manoeuvre. It was so predictable as he came off at turn 14. This is what he was going to do. That extra pace down the main straight into turn 1. And there's nothing poor old Julian Simon could do about it. And that's what the crowd think about Marc Marquez. We can hear him coming back into, I would imagine, Parc Ferme. Well, Emilio, he's all right now, isn't he? Shaking his fist and waving at him.
Telling him to be calm.
He was giving him
a trying to ruin everyone's fun.
That was some ride.
Oh, look at that. Tears already, because they know they've put in a stunning couple of years in Moto2. And at the beginning of the season, remember, as we hear him on the limiter as he comes into Parc Ferme just alongside us here. Remember, he had the eye problems. We didn't know if he was going to be all right. And then, out of the blue, at Qatar, comes in and wins the race straight away. And from that moment, he hasn't looked back.
Yeah, there was worries about his sight throughout the winter. Would he be there at the start of the season? His 9th Grand Prix victory. He's had some fine Grand Prix wins. I don't think a better win than we've seen here at Valencia this afternoon. Absolute privilege to watch somebody ride a motorcycle like that in these conditions.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's just come out to Parc Ferme now to celebrate with the team. They give him the bumps. I think he was more scared about how high they were throwing him than he was riding that motorcycle today.
Yeah, they were letting go then, actually, weren't they?
Nico Tiroli so pleased at last. The last race of a difficult Moto2 debut season, but to finish on the podium. Great ride by Nico Tiroli. Whoa, we have seen 2 absolutely stunning races so far. And if MotoGP can follow suit, it's going to be some afternoon to finish the season.
I just think, Ian, I mean, you'll have seen it out there. The rain, is there anything around? Is the track dry enough for slicks?
It's at the moment, it's exactly the same as it was at the start of the Moto2 race. It's not raining, there's no wind, and the track is wet. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm glad I'm not making any tyre decisions today.
Could be a flag to flag on the cards here for us in MotoGP. I really think we're going to get a humdinger to come up. Who's going to be able to take the risk? We're going to get something a bit different. And we've had something a little bit different and a little bit special from Marc Marquez, topping an all-Spanish podium with Julian Simon and Nico Tiroli alongside him. Tom Luthi and Dominique Aegerter doing well for Switzerland, ahead of Jordi Torres in 6th place. Mika Kallio is the top Kalex. 4 of them in a row, with Espargaro having crashed out in 8th place.
I'm just going to grab a quick word with the man we spoke to earlier, before the start of this race on the grid. Emilio Altamora, team manager and a mentor of Marc Marquez. Emilio, you told us on the grid, you told Marc to stay calm. He actually did look quite calm on track, but also very, very fast today.
I need to explain to be calm, no? But I know Marc, his character. Sure, he don't like the the penalty in the end. Sure, he find a good feeling on the bike in the wet condition, but the reality is difficult to explain the race of today. It's I don't have words.
I think incredible is probably the best way to explain.
Incredible. It's for only, I think, small riders have these big races.
Well, congratulations, a fantastic ride.
Thank you.
A big race from a big rider, not physically, not in stature, but in terms of talent and future as well.
The confirmation then of those championship positions. 9 wins for Marc Marquez this season, 4 for Pol Espargaro in second places. Julian Simeon moving up a place. Claudio Corti is going to ride in the MotoGP race in a minute, moving down a spot. But that is it.